Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Stefan, and today we're going to be starting the Army Only Challenge in Stellaris Lithoids. Now, as the name of the challenge entails, this is going to be a purely army-based challenge, no fleets allowed, and that basically means that we're not going to be able to go on the offensive, and instead our greatest threat is going to be from enemies attacking us and conquering our planets. So we're going to have to defend our planets at all costs, and make sure to do so against the hardest AI possible. Grand Admiral, no scaling, aggressive AI. In addition to that, I'm also using the StarNet AI mod, and that basically makes the game like Dark Souls. AI is actually competent, and they go extremely aggressive, which means that we're going to have plenty of fun playing with this empire. So this is it. Who needs ships anyways? The main focus of this empire is going to be to survive and to not lose any planets. The thing is, we can't really prevent the loss of any stations, but we can prevent the loss of all our planets. If we have enough armies on our planets and we withstand the inevitable bombardment by our enemies, we will be able to keep the planets and be able to settle a status quo at the end of a war. So, for this purpose, I've created this empire. The main focus of this empire is the species that is at its core. These guys are Lithoids, which means plus 50% to army health, and are also resilient and strong, which means plus 70% to army damage. Overall, these guys are very powerful as armies, and with private military companies, every single one of our troops is going to be worth multiple of the enemies. Now, normally this is completely useless and not really relevant, but as this particular empire, we're going to need every little bit of damage. With this empire, we're also going to be running a criminal heritage. As a criminal heritage, we're going to have to try to establish branch offices everywhere and actually rely on production outside of our empire rather than production within. This is important because we're most likely going to experience 100% devastation across all our planets, and having production outside is going to be extremely useful. Otherwise, we're also going to be getting a special tradition with criminal heritage that I'll be showing shortly. But anyways, this is going to be our game settings, just a confirmation. I'll be talking throughout this whole process to confirm that this is indeed a game played on these settings. So let's see. This is our spawn right here. It is not too terrible, but at the same time looks pretty bad. We have 3 choke points to defend, and if we can't get any planets on the choke points, it's going to mean a very tough time for us. It's going to mean that we're going to have to fortify every single planet rather than just focusing on fortifying a few. But that is alright, and the strategy that I'll be playing with does account for that in the beginning. So let's try to get through our early game setup as soon as possible. Research, ground defense planning, and wow, all of these are actually completely useless. Let's go for cram metal armor. The thing with coil guns is that it's going to open up a lot more weapons tech, and we really don't want that. I want to keep our tech trees clean, and we want only the stuff that's good for us available to us at all times. Otherwise, let's go ahead and set our policies. Initial border status open, that way we get more opinion. Food policy, nutritional platitude. Economic policy, mixed economy. Trade policy, consumer benefits. Now we're going to want to go ahead and kill our fleet, because we're not allowed to have a fleet in this playthrough. But first, let me just strip them of all their resources. So we're going to just dismount all the modules, save the design, and go ahead and upgrade the fleet. This way we're going to get 145 alloys.
Vessels upgrading.
And that amount of alloys is sufficient to go ahead and build a science ship and hire a scientist. So we're going to do this, buy some minerals for building, and hire a scientist. Now all of these are quite terrible, but I'll take the long lifespan one, just so that he doesn't die throughout this game. At Lithoids, we do get a bunch more later lifespan, but since they start older, it's really only about 20 or 30 years extra. On our planet, we're going to want to go ahead and build a research lab, and that is so we can actually tech rush and be able to get ahead of the enemy in terms of technology. Technology, of course, is going to be very important because we need fortresses and planetary shields. Otherwise, we want as much economy tech as possible because, well, we're going to be invaded half the time, and having a nice production otherwise is going to save us. As far as ships and construction goes, we're going to want to keep this at a minimum and just send this little fleet to explore. I'll want to explore this little black hole over here, just in case there is an L gate right here, and a possibility of moving into the L cluster. The L cluster will become a lifeline if it is empty and we can just move into it, or it can become a very useful tool for destroying the enemies, you know, if we release the gray goo. And so let's begin. Alright, it doesn't look like there's an L gate, unfortunately, so we're going to want to go ahead and just survey the space nearby. Actually, let's check out if there's a planet anywhere nearby, because if there's no planets, we're not really going to want to keep this space. We want planets in particular, because we can actually defend planets. We can't defend space stations.
Anomaly found.
Anomaly? We're actually going to want to leave all of these guys for later, and we're going to be taking a look at them in episode 2. Ooh, archaeological site. Trench world. This might be useful. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to give us, but it could give us some very useful army stuff. Alright, here's our first planet, Alpine 22 size world. Let's take a look at what it has. Alright, looks like the planet is quite terrible. We only have 5 mining districts and 3 generator districts, and the agriculture districts are all completely useless. No planet here. Let's see if there's a planet over here. If there isn't, it makes virtually no sense to actually be in this area, so we're going to send our sand ship back. We don't want to stray too far away from our starting systems, because if we do, we can be discovered by AI, and that would cause a cascade of problems. Now let's get to the tradition that I was talking about earlier. Diplomacy, survival of the fittest. This one is quite amazing. Orbital bombardment damage reduced by 25%, and defensive army damage increased by 25%. This means that our armies are a lot more potent, and we can actually withstand bombardment. The reason we have this, instead of some federation thing, is because as a criminal heritage, we cannot actually form federations, and so we get the special diplomacy tree. Now we're going to go ahead and build a generator district, and actually do a little bit of manipulation with our enforcer. Let's unemploy this guy. I'll wait for crime to refresh. Alright, and go ahead and negotiate with crime lords. Now, since we do have an enforcer, our crime is going to be low, and we're still going to get the plus 10 stability, which is going to give us about 6% to all resources, which is quite nice. Another planet, size 16 Alpine. Alright, these planet sizes aren't too bad, and we actually have a size 20 for our starting planet. That's pretty good. As far as our government goes, we get Warlike, plus 20%, plus 10% rather, army damage, and Expansionists, with Secure the Borders. This is absolutely useless, but otherwise this is not a bad leader. Apparently we start with an Iron Fist dude, even though we have no slaves. Okay, let's go ahead and move over here, and then move over here. This planet seems to be a little bit better. We have 8 mining districts instead of just 5, and mining districts are going to be extremely important to us as lithoids. We're going to eat the minerals instead of food. We're also going to want to go ahead and build another colony ship and start selling some of our consumer goods to get the pod blocker cleared. Sprawling slums are quite awesome, and as lithoids we actually get a variant of sprawling slums. We get lithoid monoliths, exactly 4 of them. These guys give us an extra pop once cleared, but we do need to spend an additional 1,000 minerals. That is going to help out with early growth somewhat, but it's still going to mean that we're the worst empire in terms of pop growth possible. The thing is, these guys don't actually have access to the pop growth decision, and so effectively, lithoids have a minus 50% penalty to pop growth, rather than just surface 25%. Alright, let's continue moving towards survival of the fittest, and get automated exploration. We're going to want to do our early exploration as quickly as possible, and we're actually going to want to go for Map the Stars. Early exploration is going to help us out because we don't want to be discovered and potentially get a demand vassalization. That is exactly the thing that we don't want because we'll be using our early contact with an enemy empire to our advantage in warfare. There is a trick to secure about 10 years of peace, and we'll be doing that once we encounter the enemy. we're going to take the influence option from the habitable survey thing. I always do that because it is way more useful than an objective that gives stuff later. The thing with this game is that snowballing is a very, very real factor, and so investments are not always a good idea. Instead, you want to get as many bonuses as possible early on, and that way you can snowball out of control. Gas giant structure. We're actually getting quite a few interesting dig sites over here, so I'm quite happy. There is a single choke point over here, and a single choke point in these two locations. Hopefully there's a planet here so we can defend ourselves from this space and whatever empire is in there. Let's go ahead, survey systems. Now let's also check out our scientists. We actually want this guy because he's going to give us more anomalies. Without our fleet, we're going to have a bit more resources to play with in the beginning, and all those resources are mostly going to be spent on colonization. Let's sell some of this stuff, buy some minerals, and start clearing these blockers. We want as many pops as possible, as early as possible. Precursors. Now let's see how many we have. Only one. That is not a good pace. Jesus Christ. 5, 7, 60 days. That is what, 15 years? Alright, so we're all of fittest. Now we're going to be a little bit more secure from the enemy. Is this? Yeah, this is connecting. Damn. I wish this was just a regular choke point. That would have been super nice. Okay, interesting. We have an encounter. That's actually 2 science ships. That's concerning. Now, since it's Grand Admiral, we have no chance of researching them before they research us. That's just the way it is. So we're going to have to suffer the penalty from early contact. Fortunately, there's a planet here. We're going to want to go ahead and expand to that as quickly as possible. And I think I'm going to have to just defend these 2 planets for now. Hopefully we don't run into an empire over here, as that would be very, very problematic. Council of Themel. Ooh, a Theocratic Republic, and these guys are egalitarian, so they are gonna hate us. Okay. Minus 155 opinion, and they are rivaled to another empire. Now, the fact that they're rivaled is relatively good, because it does mean that they're probably gonna focus somewhere else. Let's actually explore over there and see what the other empire is. Yeah, these guys are probably gonna demand tribute or something real soon. Tribute demand. Now we have an option over here. We can either submit to demand, which is going to make us a tribute of this empire and is going to tie our fate to these guys. That's going to mean less wars and actually less excitement, so we're not going to do that. Or we have an option of just not doing anything for now, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do. These guys are quite far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps to our nearest system, so I think we should be able to just kind of chill. Go for more growth speed and robots. Robots are going to be amazing because that's going to mean even more growth speed. And it looks like there's not going to be an empire over here. So we're not going to know who these guys are actually rivaling. That's a bit of a shame, but it does mean that there's no uncertain factor. Alright, let's continue expanding over here. We have our first faction. Unfortunately, these guys want an autocracy, which we cannot have as a criminal syndicate because we cannot reform our government from a criminal syndicate. That is a little bit unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Now, as you can see right here, AI is being smart, and they're actually claiming stuff at choke points. So normally AI would just kind of blob, but Starnet AI actually knows where choke points are and can actually block them off. So now this empire has complete unilateral access to this little area of space. Also, I'm realizing that if I actually spawned where these guys are, I would have a perfect start. There is a planet right here and a planet right here. 2 planets actually. Damn, these guys are lucky. Let's actually close our borders. We don't want them leapfrogging through our space. Ooh, these guys are expanding down south. That is quite bad. But at the rate of their expansion, I think we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years or so. 12 if we're lucky, and they actually expand north. Okay. This is bad. There's an empire over here, meaning that our space is basically gonna be this blob. It's likely that the enemy has taken this space. And by the way, I'm referring to them as enemy because that's what they're gonna be. There's literally no way that they're gonna be friendly. I might actually have to use the trick on them as well, and I'll get to show you guys that as well. So, thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like and subscribe to not miss our empire getting completely wrecked. But anyways, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, and bye-bye.